Hi there, it's Irfan here. Now in this video, I will be sharing with you the first step to the three-pronged approach from MasterMaths. Okay, now the first step is involving concepts. Now what are concepts? Concepts are basically hard skills that any child requires in order to answer a mathematics problem. Alright, now we do this concepts teaching by employing what is known as scaffolding mathematics skills. Okay, now say for example a child wants to know how to add fractions, or a student wants to know how to factorize an algebraic expression. There are ways to scaffold this particular skill. Okay, what do I mean by scaffold? Now I want you to imagine that you have a carpenter in front of you and he wants to build a house. As you can see in front of you, the carpenter is standing on what is known as a scaffold. Alright, now before he stands on the scaffold, he has to stand on the ground first. As he builds the house, okay, the scaffold gets higher and higher and higher until he manages to build the entire house. Now similarly, say for example a child wants to know how to add fractions. The first thing the child got to know is mastery of numbers first. Okay, so that forms sort of the ground. Okay, the next step is to understand what are fractions. Okay, what is the denominator, what is the numerator. Okay, so as your child develops this step-by-step process, okay, of knowledge building, all right, your child will be well versed at the end to know how to add fractions. Okay, so this is known as a scaffolding method to any mathematics skill. Now, scaffolding is actually a teacher-centric approach, and this is used heavily in schools on teaching or imparting mathematics knowledge. Okay, so this is really a teacher-centric method. Okay, now how do we approach or how do we address scaffolding methods in teaching mathematics? Okay, in MasterMaths we do this approach called I do, we do, and you do. I do means the teacher will go through an example first and to expose the child to addition of fractions, for example. Okay, we do means the teacher, the coach, and the student will do it together, and you do means it's independent time, okay, for the child to try and add fractions on his or her own. Okay, so I do, we do, and you do. Now we take this teaching of concepts a step further because we don't want it to always be teacher centric. We don't want that dependency from the child to the coach. Okay, we want our students to be independent learners that does not need to rely on teachers all the time. Okay, so what we do is we take it a step further and we employ student-centric methods as well. Now, what do I mean by this? We empower the child, we empower the student to take control of his or her studies in mathematics. How do we do this? We create mini competitions in class. Alright, we make it fun, we make them work in pairs, we create that competitive mindset in them, and on top of that we also have this QFT method that we follow, which is called the question formulation technique, whereby we pose a question to the child or to the pair and we get them to develop further questions to a certain mathematics technique. Alright, we encourage inquisitiveness with this QFT method as well. So there you go, two approaches to developing concepts, and that is a teacher-centric approach, and secondly we empower the child with a student-centric method as well.